Greetings. My name is Luis Molina, and I am the host of the Life Puro podcast. In today's conversation, I talked to Jason Ricci, who was a world-renowned blues and jazz harmonica player and cigar aficionado. He is a member of the Saints and Sinners Club and is a fan of Tatuaje cigars. So feel free to sit back and relax with a cigar and enjoy this week's episode. Cool. So, no, man, I appreciate the drive out here. I know from New Orleans to here, any little bump in the road, any traffic can cause some weirdness. But yeah, every guest gets a cigar, and I figured it'd be appropriate for you, Tatuaje.
Hey, man, you already knew.
Yeah.
Any excuse to get up here finally. Right?
Yeah. No, we appreciate it. So yeah, just for our guests or our viewers' information, we are smoking the Tatuaje Kahonu 2018.
Right.
So yeah, we just got these in today.
At
least in Baton Rouge.
First time with one.
Okay, I was going to ask you, did you smoke one? Yeah. Okay.
Well, the 2015 that came out last year.
For you?
That was, thank you. Mm-hmm. That was one of my favorite of Pete's drops last year. And I think it flew pretty well under the radar, too, fortunately for me. I was able to get a lot of them.
Cool.
Yeah, I loved that cigar.
Okay. Yeah, and from my understanding, you're probably going to school me more in Tatuaje.
I don't
and
know.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'm not that type of retailer that, I know more than every consumer. It's like, no, I don't know everything. You know?
But the hardest part about being a cigar retailer is every consumer thinks they know more than you. Yeah. That's part of the weirdness of this industry is people have to flex a lot. Yeah. I don't get it. Why can't we just not know something?
Exactly. I would rather deal with a consumer that is willing to tell me, look, I don't know much about this. That's fine. And look, and I do it the same way. I don't know about the blend of this specific brand.
Right.
Let me find out though.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. Big deal.
Yeah.
There's so many cigars out there. It's really easy to forgive not knowing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But light up, help yourself. You
All right.
You got the torches, matches, whatever you want.
Torch.
So for viewers who care about the cigar, this is the Kahonu series, and this is the 2018. So for those who don't know, Tatuaje is a small batch company, I guess. Maybe small batch?
The limited stuff, and then you got the core line, which is why I'm such a fan. Is the core line is so good in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It Fuente too, but this company is a little spicier.
So the Kahonu is a cigar that it's kind of slang for ballsy. Yeah. And I guess that's a tribute to what the fact that these blends are a little bit stronger, a little bit fuller. Definitely featuring more of that.
Let me borrow yours.
Yeah. Here, that typical full body Nicaraguan profile, and they come out every. Oh, no gas.
No, there's plenty in there. There we go.
Yep. Yeah, every 3 years a new Kahonu's released, but the 2015 and the 2018s he skipped.
Right.
Went to the 2021s that we got, I think, last year or 2 years ago.
Last year we got the 2015, I thought.
Yeah.
Which, like I said earlier, was one of my favorites. It didn't get great reviews.
Yeah. I don't even know if I smoked that one yet. What is that, 5 by 55?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a short little...
Yeah, like a nubby kind of...
little banger.
Okay.
Yeah, not a firecracker, but just a little bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, almost a Robusto, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, right off the bat. I had a consumer already smoked this earlier, and he gave me some insight. He loved it. And he's a big Tat fan, this guy I'm talking about.
I heard about you with the Big Ten, that the Big Ten knocked you on your butt. The Surrogates Big Ten. I think that it was Arturo Toby. You had that one. Yeah.
I loved it, though.
Yeah.
But it did knock me
Well,
out.
I mean, a lot of Tatuaje fans are really into the aging process. They'll get one, they might smoke one, maybe one a year, and they'll set 2 boxes aside, for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
That seems to be a normal consumer hardcore Tatuaje thing to do.
Yeah.
Get 3 or 4 boxes and put them aside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When was the first Tatuaje that you smoked? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a tattoo. It was recently. It was 4 years ago.
Wow.
I was a Pepin fan to start.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't even a big, I wasn't a crazy cigar nerd like I am now until 4 years ago.
Okay.
But I'd been smoking since 2004. But just like music or business, it's about hours, right? Not years, right? You know, so I dabbled in it. And in 2006, when Pepin was blending for 601,
yeah, that's right.
I started getting into that shit. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we want it authentic.
But
here.
that stuff sent me. That was like my first holy cats, I really love cigars like moment.
Wow.
And it was funny enough, it was a Connecticut 601 by Pepin, and then then the My Father stuff came out. I got way into that. Didn't even know about Tatuaje. Missed all the years, missed all the monsters, just playing music and living my life. Big time problems with addiction, right? In jail and stuff like that. So I was out of the loop. Cigars were the last thing like on my radar most of the time. And I'd have me a little travel humidor and nothing else. Like now I got like this giant thing and I got boxes stored away for 4 years from now. I got, different shelves for different things, different humidities for different wrappers, right? Like the
wow. Oh, you're taking it
fully nerded out.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. A lot of this is like so much fun for me because like a lot of my cigar buddies can't take me. You know what I mean? They don't want to. They don't want to talk about it, right? Like not like this. You know, they want to just kick back and smoke a cigar. They don't care what it is. Nothing. Yeah.
Right. And that's what intrigues me over the years. Classifying the different types of cigar smokers, right? You have your once a year guy or once every few years guy, maybe just to celebrate a milestone. Then you have like the maybe once a month kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then like you have your weekly guys. And I actually classify the weekly guys as once you hit that weekly, I consider you a regular.
Yeah.
Even if it's one a week.
Yeah. One a week is great, actually. I think it's maybe even better for the palate than every day, but man, I'm an everydayer.
Me too. How many are you doing?
Man, if I can, I'll do 3. If I have a day off.
Okay.
And my day off is 3 cigars on the porch. That's all I care. I don't you know, even when the Saints are playing, I'm like, man, I should be out there, right?
You mean at the Superdome?
No. I mean, on my porch, not watching the game, listen to it on the radio, right? You know, I just love it. It's a time for me. It's more than the tobacco, which the tobacco's enough, okay? But the joy, the love, what's the saying? The 400 hands, right, that went into making it, the story behind each blend, all of that's enough. But in addition to that, I'm gauging my peace, my serenity. I'm gauging my anxiety. I'm looking at what is it? Where did I screw up today? Right? What am I going to do differently tomorrow? A lot of times, I turn the devices off, other than to get a picture and to tag my buddies on it. Right?
That's how we basically met. Yeah. We'll get more into that.
Right? But then. You know, I put it away and I sit and I just take in the birds, the squirrels. If there's a possum, my whole neighborhood knows who I am. Yeah. I know who they are. It's all because of cigars. It's all because of being out there. Yeah. There's this culture around it. There's this level of me time. My father told me when I was a kid, he said, what's the one thing you can't buy, right? And I said, well, love, Dad. You know, the Beatles said that, right? And he goes, nah. He goes, kid, I got lots of money. He goes, I got girls all over the place. He goes, they actually love me now, right? They didn't in the beginning, but they do now, right? Yeah. He goes, time. Time is the one thing you can't buy. Mm-hmm. This is the closest thing to buying time. Wow. You know, you spend the money on it, and that is an hour or an hour and a half that you have designated for nothing else.
Mm-hmm. That's really profound because I've always said that to certain folks that we get when we talk about like the reasons why people smoke cigars. And that's kind of like the line I use is it's an investment in time in yourself.
Who said that?
No, that's what I've just come over the years
wow, that's weird.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. You've come to that realization too.
And you know, every cigar has its own rhythm, you know, depending upon the vitola of if my anxiety level is high, Louis, and a cigar is banging, like it's tasting good, right? I can ruin that cigar by heating it up too fast and smoking it too fast because I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get all of that
Trying
right
to force
now.
something, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, say you got a Lancero, right? Now that you're going to have to hit that a little more often. It might go out, right? A Lancero or a Longsdale might go out, right? You got it. It has its own rhythm. It's asking you to settle down, to pay attention, to be mindful.
Yeah. Boy, even though you've only been smoking 4 years, there are people who've been smoking for decades that I don't feel, or at least they've never really conveyed to me, this realization, this construction of why we enjoy a cigar.
I mean, I've only been crazy for 4 years. It's been since 2004 that I've been buying cigars. But
gotcha.
I didn't have a brand. I didn't know the difference between I knew the difference between a Connecticut, the name Connecticut, and the color Maduro. But I didn't know what a Connecticut broadleaf was, or Habano, or I didn't know what Corojo was, or I didn't think there was any difference in taste between Yalapa and Esteli because I didn't know there was a Yalapa and an Esteli. I didn't nerd out on it. But yeah, it's a valuable thing. Sobriety has had a lot to do with me getting invested in cigars.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it when these anti-tobacco people want to attack cigars. To me, this is so pure. This is the way tobacco should have been. And our first guest, I don't know if you know this gentleman, Greyhawk Perkins, local musician out of New Orleans, storyteller,
Why don't I
Native
know?
American.
Oh.
Yeah. He, I met him over 20 years ago, and I mean, the Native Americans were the first people to really realize this leaf is actually pure and divine.
Yeah.
Something spiritual about it. Whereas today, I mean, tobacco's always been viewed by some group as an evil thing.
It's ridiculous.
But I love it when I hear people like you, smokers, get it. That, they recognize it for its purity. And to me, I tell people, and I've met addicts over the years that use cigars maybe as a product to feed that addiction, but I tell people smoking cigars is like taking a drug, but without the bad druggy effects. You still maintain a sobriety about you, a meditation.
I mean,
it's beautiful. And that's why so many like professionals get into it.
Yeah.
Think about like pilots that they can't drink 24 hours before a flight.
Right.
A lot of them smoke cigars, doctors, lawyers, or just anyone under pressure. Yeah. People who have a high pressure business.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue also that without me, and this isn't necessary for everybody, I'm just saying that if I was on drugs or drinking too much, I don't think I would enjoy an hour and a half by myself. Considering the problems that the substances cause. But even additionally, like, even in life, if I'm too stressed out, I don't want to smoke a cigar. I really don't. Because I don't want to be with me for that time period. Now, that to me is a hint that this is something healthy. Because it's not an escape. It's not a distraction.
Right.
This is something that has to do with what's going on inside of me. Yeah. So if it were an addiction in the classical sense of the word, something I do no matter what, and there are days when I smoke too many cigars and I can no longer appreciate the cigar. Time to lay off a little bit. Yeah.
So tell me about Saints and Sinners. What's that about for people who don't know?
I don't know. So it's a private social club. I've been in 1 year. This is my second year in.
Okay,
right?
cool.
So I was, you got to be invited in. It's not hard to get invited in. You see a lot of last minute foxhole people on Facebook wanting to get in. Like, hey, anybody got an invite? Anybody? It's not hard to get in. Just smoke the brand, talk about it, post it. You mentioned the Native Americans, right? Trade it. Share it. Send people some cigars that you like. Say you got some extras. Say you bought a box of something that's not banging for you. Trade a $5 for something else to somebody else, or send a $5. Just unannounced. Get someone's address that you've never met and
mailbox bomb them with a $5, right? At least, right? That's sharing the leaf, right? It's supposed to be enjoyed, right? And spread out, right? So Saints and Sinners, I think, is an extension of that.
Yeah. And that's
I don't want to let this go.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Yeah, that's the private club, I guess, associated with Tatuaje.
Oh yeah, totally.
Fans.
I mean, it's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just Tatuaje.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just Pete. It's not. You don't even get any My Father stuff, right? It's just
It's all Pete stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like $200 or a little more, and all I was promised was a T-shirt, and that I got invited by a friend. Said, hey, listen, man, I see you posting all this stuff. You're into it. Would you be interested in joining this club? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, look, it costs $200. When you get your invite, you better have the $200 because each member only gets to invite one member a year. That's how you get in.
I see.
You wait for a guy to invite you. So I got invited in, and I said, sure, I'll do it. And anyway, I got a box of cigars and like a 5-pack, and but more than that, I got into a community. I got into a group of people. Man, just like in January, there was a drive-by shooting on my block, right? And an AK-47, hundreds of rounds up and down Bank Street, right? Banks and Jeff Davis, or Norman C. Francis, as it's now called, right?
Okay.
One of the items that got shot up was a Saints and Sinners hat, right? I hit the deck.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
You posted that on
yeah.
Instagram, yeah.
I mean, it was a week later that, they had me a new hat. And I didn't ask anybody. I didn't say anything.
Right.
It's a community. And, guys will, say I miss out. I'm broke. I don't have any money for the Dracula release, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Guys will be like, look, bro, I got you. I'll put a box aside until you get hooked up. Or here's a $5. Just, just keep playing the horn. You know what I mean? Yeah, just, look, man, good people. Good people. And, when we got a little forum and we kind of like see who could take it's a little rough, sometimes, right?
It's typical in the cigar shop world. It's all in good fun.
They're going to make. I know the pigtails are coming in. Like the minute I get there, I already know, right? I already know I'm going to come under fire. That's how I got invited in. Actually, was just being on a Facebook website. It was like, what was it called? Like, Dark Side of the Leaf, right? Where there's guys like sometimes it's pretty misogynistic and maybe even homophobic and stuff. Right? People came in and started slamming me. I posted a picture of myself, knowing I was just gonna get it.
Target.
And I just took it. It had fun and made jokes, and that was how I got my invite to Saints and Sinners. It was like, hey, look,
you're in the group's respect.
Yeah, this will be for you. You dig it, right? Plus, there's lots of free Tatuaje shit that you can't get anywhere else, right? You're going to get a box of cigars that are Saints and Sinners cigars. You're not going to get them anywhere else. And, there's a lot of people in there. I don't want to say a lot, but there's a few people in there who are in there for different reasons than that. They maybe have 2 or 3 different mailing addresses and email addresses and are buying maybe these boxes and then maybe reselling them, on Facebook. Flippers. Yeah. There's some flippers in there.
The gray market, we call it.
Hey, bro, God bless them, right? When you want something, they're there, right? How you go complain about it, right?
Well, speaking of that, that's such a weird thing to contend with as a retailer. I know it happens in the bourbon world, right? With the Pappy Van Winkles and these sought after stuff.
I saw that documentary, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a documentary about that.
Yeah, about the guys who stole it all, right? And hoarded it. Yeah, they worked at the factory.
Wow.
Yeah, they stole like cases of that Pappy Van Winkle. Yeah. But I don't know anything about it.
No, but it's just very similar in the cigar world, right? So we have these unicorn cigars, and then we call them the cherry pickers that want to come in and only get those and not support the core part of the portfolio. And what we've tried to, I'm not saying this is the right method, but what we try to do is first offer those kind of unicorns to our regulars who support that brand, in the core portfolio, right? Because we only get allocated X amount of unicorns based on our performance of the regular stuff that we can get all the time.
Yeah, and you guys are real about it too.
So what we try to do is offer those and usually it's in samplers, right? We bundle them with core stuff to help move the core stuff in the hopes of getting more of the unicorn items, you know.
And you also show loyalty back to loyal customers.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple of tots over the years that I walked into the Habana Port in Metairie.
Mm-hmm.
And, Arturo lets me shop a little bit. And then he goes, oh, hey, do you know I got? Or I might have to ask even, hey, have you heard about this? And then he disappears into the back room. He comes out and opens a box for me. And there's the double D or the DB or something that I hadn't seen in a minute, right? Or that I maybe was able to pick up a $5 of, because I'm on a harmonica player's salary, right? So I got to be careful, which I'm not, right? Have you seen that?
Especially if you're passionate about cigars.
You see that meme? It's like DiCaprio, and it says people think when they see my cigar collection, think I'm rich, and it's like, bro, I'm just irresponsible, right? That's totally me, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that because so you and I met. Today's the first time we've met face to face. I think, yeah.
No, totally.
Yeah, we've only interacted with each other via Instagram, where you would tag us with your picture of the Tatuaje you're smoking.
Yeah, okay.
And I love that. We reshared that, and we just started building a dialogue.
Let's talk about that. I've been a bad customer.
No.
Yes, I have. Let me tell you why.
Well,
all right.
Okay.
I'm going to admit
I'll let you say, but I'll give the audience a reason.
I'm going to admit it for the first time online at jeopardy to my own selfish bullshit, okay? I would have tagged y'all a lot more, but I didn't want people to know what was.
Oh,
I didn't want them to know what was there.
Where the secret?
I wanted you. I've said before, I've said it joking. I've said this is my other humidor up in Metairie.
That's funny.
But I swear to God, it's like I don't want somebody coming in and getting every last. I'll say it, Karloff that's sitting in Metairie right now. I got to go there tomorrow and get him.
No. So, okay, I thought you were gonna go somewhere else.
No,
you don't want to reveal and create more competition for yourself for the scarce.
But it's lame. It's lame, bro. I should be like hollering for my people, bro.
But I admire that. You're honest. I'm sure there are a lot of these cherry pickers that they're very hoarding of the information where they get their stuff.
Man, the ones that bother me are the ones that don't smoke them.
Mm. And what do you think they're going to do with that? What's their long-term goal? Just flipping?
There's a Facebook site. I'm probably not supposed to say this. It's called
okay. But there's a Facebook site.
There's a Facebook site, right, where we buy rare cigars, right? Yeah. You're not supposed to sell tobacco on Facebook, but there's ways of doing that, right? Without you put a little picture of a ship, and then an ED, and then you put the number 1. A P and then a bowl of rice, Price 100 ship id. You own American flag, USA only, right? So the algorithms can't pick up that we're selling anything, much more tobacco.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a guy on there, and they were like these, what was it? Was the 2011. Was it jackal, Tatuaje jackal, right? Or a box of Fuente big black motherfuckers, right? And somebody said as a joke, but it's so true. He goes, "Do you guys just buy these boxes and then just sell them again to each other later?" And the answer is a lot of them, yeah. That's what they do.
So it keeps going back.
They just wait for it to increase another $100 or $200, and then see something else they want, and they flip it and get 2 of that, and then put it in a closet and wait another 5 years. And
it's the same discussion I hear in the spirits world with the rare bourbons, and you have some people that just want to collect, buy, hold, maybe wait to flip it for a higher price in the future. So I remember there was a story that. One customer was telling me who buys just the alcohol, just the drink. He doesn't collect, but he wanted a certain rare bottle, and he went to the proprietor of a shop, and he had this bottle, and the proprietor was trying to feel him out. Are you really just a reseller, or you're an actual consumer?
Right.
So what he asked him was, I can sell it to you, but I'm going to open it up. And he said, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to drink it. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
There it is. So that idea kind of like inspired me, like maybe we should do the same thing.
Man,
like open up boxes and just sell, you know, if you're a true consumer, you don't care about the packaging and
if it's
keeping it sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was pretty interesting.
I love that you even thought of that, Louis.
Yeah,
like that makes you like a good friend of mine immediately. Like, but that, you know, that hashtag, they are meant to be smoked.
Right.
They are meant to be smoked.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with sticking something that maybe is a little strong, wait for a couple of years, see how it does.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, what was it? When was Ida? Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, I always forget.
I was on the road, and, you know,
2 years ago.
my humidor was at home. And, you know, the power went out, and you know the humidity around here. And I got a big one, and but it's not a Winador. It's not a temperature control that if it had been, the power was out.
Oh, man.
And, you know, I was looking at, you know, 100 degree weather for, you know, 80, 90% humidity for a couple of weeks, right? How much you really want to save cigars that you may never be able to smoke?
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I used to be that collector.
Right.
But I would always like hold it knowing I would smoke it at some point, not to resell.
Right.
But then one day I think I came to that kind of same realization, like, and it wasn't even like hurricane related. It was just that the notion of, you know what, I might not live tomorrow.
You know,
I need to start enjoying these cigars now.
Yeah, I kind of don't remember ever regretting burning a big black motherfucker, or you know,
yeah, that's for people who don't know, the Opus BBMF.
I'm sorry, I should be saying
no, but it's I think it stands for big bad motherfucker.
Oh, okay,
I think.
okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. It's an Oscuro, though. It's a black. Look,
maybe it might be. Yeah,
it might be big bad.
But officially it's the BBMF. Yeah.
But any unicorn, like I've never finished a cigar like that and said, "Oh, I wish it was still in my humidor instead."
Right.
But you know, I'm human, and when I'm selecting it, I'm like, "Ooh, really? This is going to be gone now." I have that collector. What is it? Tick. That little bit of like, but what better day than Tuesday or whatever day, Wednesday, whatever day it is? What better day, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you and I met, basically started a dialogue via Instagram. You were in Metairie, and before COVID, there was a system where my brother and I would switch up stores, right? So I would work in Baton Rouge, he would be in Metairie.
I didn't know
that.
We'd
switch it. Yeah. So at one point, we would kind of switch it up. Pops is always in Metairie. Then COVID happened, and we decided then and there, like, all right, we got to pick a store and just stay there for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's why I never actually met you. But anyway, so I would see your pictures of the Tatuaje and you're tagging us. I thought it was cool. And then I just started looking at your Instagram profile, and I noticed, oh, you're a harmonica musician.
Right.
So can you elaborate on that? Like, how did you start that?
Oh, my whole life. I think I was like, I was like 19 when I quit college after a year or so. And I graduated.
You're from New Orleans?
No, born and raised in Portland, Maine. Also like Pete Johnson from Maine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the other weird connection is having fallen in love with cigars via Pepine, and Pete now being married to Janine. He's now Pepine's son-in-law. So it would make sense that I would gravitate towards this brand, younger audience, you know, and same peppery Nicaraguan,
same
strong,
genetics.
well rolled. But anyway, I got into playing music young, and around 18, 19 years old, started making a living at it. By the time I was 20, 21 years old, I was riding around in vans with guys 20, 30 years older than me, all over the country, and then Europe, and then making records. And
what genre do you?
Blues, and now a lot of blues and jazz, right? A little jazz too, jazz funk, New Orleans jazz funk, and play with Joe Crown down in New Orleans. And I got my own band, The Bad Kind. I recorded with Johnny Winter. I did just recently did a Terrence Blanchard movie, the movie A Jazz Man's Blues by Tyler Perry.
Is that out?
Yeah, it's out. It's on I think it's on Amazon, right?
Okay. What's it called?
A Jazz Man's Blues.
Okay.
I'm in the first scene of it. So you don't see me, but you hear me.
Okay.
There's an old black cat playing harmonica on a rack and playing guitar. I'm the harmonica when you hear it. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but I've had a really nice career. I played the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Zach Brown and Tom Morello and Paul Schaefer and all those guys to induct Butterfield, and it's been a great run, you know.
Yeah.
And cigars were something I found on the road. Out west, we would drive, and there'd be, 100, 150 miles of nothing, Wyoming, Utah.
Long stretches of drive. Huh?
And there would be an Indian reservation. And they'd be advertising cigars and cigars and cigars, and we would stop and pull in, and we just look at it. And it started off with buying like CAO Brazilias and like Rocky Patel that did the box press decades when they first came out. And what else? What else was I gonna do? Series R, the Gloria Cubanos, right? Those were like one of my first favorite cigars, right?
Yeah.
And then, over
Would you smoke the cigars in the car?
Yeah, I would
nice.
just smoke them in the van. Yeah,
It makes the drive so much better.
I didn't know about trying to keep an ash on or anything. I just put it out the window or left it in my mouth, and I didn't savor it. Didn't paired it with a Red Bull, right? Yeah.
Hey, I mean, look, I've heard that there are rollers that they love pairing their cigar, like while they're rolling, they're smoking their cigar. They love pairing with Coca-Cola. Just a sweet drink is actually a nice. Kind of a nice pairing.
I'm big into sodas.
Okay.
Like now, like I have gotten I'm into like rare sodas.
What?
Yeah.
Like high-end boutique?
Yeah.
Like what? Is Virgil's considered one?
I think Virgil's is pretty good, right?
Yeah, I love the root beer.
But the Abita root beers are good. Abita cream is good, right? There's a lot for non-alcoholic cigar smokers. You guys don't have to feel left out. If you're listening, there's an espresso coffee,
That's my favorite.
Arnold Palmer can go really good. An iced tea can go really good, right? But if you're smoking a Connecticut, even if you're a black coffee drinker, put a little cream in your coffee. See how that affects the cigar. It does.
That's usually what the question I ask beginners, especially that are trying to figure out, okay, what is my profile? I'll ask them, do you drink coffee? Yes or no? Yes.
It's great.
How do you take your coffee?
Right.
And so that answer can kind of help us
figure out
what
what
the cigar.
Yeah, that's great. That's really nice of you. Yeah.
No, but I love my personal favorite drink, whether it's alcohol or non-alcohol, is just coffee. And ideally espresso or cappuccino.
Yeah, Mo from one of the distributors for the Northeast for Tatuaje, he's a big espresso guy. That's what he's always smoking with his stuff. What's your go-to brand, bro?
Whatever's in my hand.
Hey, that's the best answer.
No, I know. No. I'll tell you. So typically Nicaraguan profile, Tatuaje, of course. Aganorsa, I was an Aganorsa fanboy. I like a lot of HVC right now. Yeah. Dunbarton, and then Foundation.
Man,
yeah.
Nick is bringing it.
He's
bro.
awesome.
He's bringing it.
Awesome.
He's bringing it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think that I know something. Well, maybe you can tell me more about what's happening with Crown Heads right now.
I don't know. I know there. So people don't know, for people who don't know, Crown Head's a boutique cigar manufacturer. Well, they typically contract their production to other people, but they hooked up with this factory in Nicaragua, Pichardo, I think last year or 2 years ago, because we were at the trade show last year, right? So we brought in.
Oh, cool! I gotta go to one of those.
Yeah. We brought in the Tim Osner cigar, the Bosphorus. We brought in some other Pichardo made cigars by Crown Heads, like the Mil Diaz, the Juarez. But then like a few months afterwards, there was a split. And I don't know the full details.
I think Arturo knows a little more.
Yeah, I think
he knows more than he'll tell me. Actually,
yeah,
I think he just doesn't want to gossip.
Yeah, we try to be respectful of that because
that's cool.
But first of all, in all honesty, I don't really know the full details.
Right.
So I tell people if you want like industry news, go to halfwheel.com.
Yeah,
they're a great resource for that.
There it goes.
Oh, there you go. Dropping the ash.
That was gonna happen. I've never got one in an ashtray.
Yeah. I have that problem too. I have so many holes too in my shirts. And
all right.
Hey, you're a real cigar smoker. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, part of it could be that we're just respectful, but honestly, like we don't know the full details, so we'll see how that works out. But they have plans of I guess getting some other manufacturers for some of those brands that were allocated to Pichardo.
I mean, I think, Pepin and my father is doing the what is it?
Yeah, they do Las Calaveras every year.
Yeah. And this year's a broadleaf, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, we placed our order, I think, a few weeks ago. So
good to know.
It'll be
good to know.
Any day now. What's the other one? Jericho Hill is the other one. I love Jericho Hill. That's an awesome blend.
La
Pepin
Carema.
made.
La Carema.
Yeah.
What do you think of that one?
I hadn't smoked in a while. It does have that kind of like dark cocoa profile. Very tasty.
I'm hooked on those.
You like those?
I'm hooked on them.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that there's not like pipe tobacco in that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's got the aroma that comes off of it. You know, it could be a combination of correct me if I'm wrong. It's select primer broadleaf, right? Like a high primer broadleaf.
I don't know. Let's Google it. But I don't even know that.
Google it. Yeah, I think it's a combination of broadleaf and Sumatra, the binder, that makes it smell and taste partially that way. Because my neighbor is a cigar roller. My neighbor across the street. He's a blender and roller. Safari Smokes.
Okay.
Aaron Washington. So he blends and rolls primarily for the black community. Okay. Like for the social and pleasure clubs and Zulu places in New Orleans.
Oh, cool.
Does Super Sunday and shit.
What?
He's got a Jeep that's painted like a zebra. And he rolls all these cigars, and him and his wife travel around to these events. They set up a mobile lounge, right, where they have, fireplaces when it's cold and fans and they have music and they have couches and they sell cigars. And so if you're at Jazz Fest or French Quarter Fest or a Super Sunday and you're hot and there's no place to go, well, you buy a cigar and you can sit there in this mobile lounge. And he makes his own smokes. And one of the smokes he rolled last year was a broadleaf with a Sumatra binder.
Yep.
And it tastes remarkably similar to the La Carema.
So that's funny you mentioned that. The La Carema blend, wrapper is Connecticut broadleaf. Binder is Ecuador Sumatra.
Ecuador Sumatra.
Wow. And the filler is Nicaragua. It's a rolled at Tabacalera La Alianza. That's EP Carrillo.
And I wouldn't be...
in the DR.
And I didn't know that either. Yeah, love that cigar.
Yeah,
I really like that. I like a lot of. I'm intrigued by anything that John Huber touches.
Oh yeah. His history. He used to work at CAO before it was bought out.
I did know that. Yeah, I found that out. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of history in the industry too. But no,
and they're out of Nashville, right?
That's right. Yep.
Which is strange, right? Sort of.
Well, so CAO was started by Chano A. Osner. That's Tim Osner's father. He started out, I think, doing humidors or pipes. I can't remember what. And then the cigar boom hits. He gets cigars made. And CAO, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were like the it brand. I would call them.
They were fun.
Like the crown heads of that time period.
That's
right?
fair.
Yeah.
You had the Brasilia, you had the American,
the Brasilia
Americano,
really,
took them
to the next level.
Those were fun cigars.
The MX2 was a huge hit when it came out.
I don't think I ever smoked one of those.
Yeah. And it was, I remember like the first batches. So I started in the industry in 2003, but I'd been smoking since 96. So I remember some like the Boom Day cigars, and the CAO was really big. Did you know that at one point Perdomo made some CAOs?
I did not know that he did that.
Yeah. And I think
he's a musician.
Yeah.
Drummer.
Yeah.
Have you seen that humidor of his? It's a drum.
No.
He got an actual drum company called Sonar, which is owned by the same people who make the harmonicas that I play.
Okay.
Honer.
Okay.
And he had them make these little drums, and they fit over a Spanish cedar box that holds vertically like 30 cigars. It's a drum human. And Avo, how do you say his last name? Uvarian?
Uvazian.
Uvazian. He was a piano player.
That's right.
He wrote Strangers in the Night, right?
Yeah.
So there's a history.
Music and cigars.
Pete Johnson was a glam rocker from L.A., from Maine, but went out to L.A., I believe was a bass player.
Okay.
in
I didn't know that.
hair 80s like hair metal bands, right? I'm pretty sure that's it. Pete, if you hear this,
Yeah.
I
Correct
think
us
that's
if
what it is. Yeah.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I guess the idea that cigars and music go hand in hand, it's a perfect match.
Have you been to Dos Jefes?
Not in a while. I was going to ask, you play there, right?
Yeah, a lot.
So you must love that venue, right?
Oh my God.
See, the fact you can smoke.
I mean, I'm
So
there.
for people who don't know, what's Dos Jefes?
It's a jazz bar that lets you smoke indoors. They're grandfathered in,
Right.
Because they've been around
They're a
long
cigar
enough,
bar, yeah.
right? So and 7 nights a week, live music. Humidor's okay. It's for a lounge, it's just enough over retail that it should be expected.
Is Sean and Richie still there?
Yeah, both those guys.
Yeah.
Those are the cats.
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are the Dos Jefes,
Yeah.
right? And they, hey man, I don't want to say like, they're relaxed. You
They
go
are.
in there, you can do whatever you want, right? You know,
It's a chill scene.
and I'm in there all winter when it's cold, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I got my own little chair in the back. The waitress knows me, Jules. She saves my little chair for me. I go back there. And people leave me alone. They know that I play there. Nobody comes and bothers me. And I get to listen to my favorite jazz artists in New Orleans for no cover.
Yeah.
I drop $20 in the tip bucket. I can't pay for a drink. And I just smoke cigars. It's great.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes the heat's broken and it's cold. Sometimes the AC's broken and it's hot.
Yeah.
I don't care. I love it there.
Yeah, that's such a unique cigar bar.
Come
It's
down. I'm
not-
taking you out. It's
Okay.
evenings on me,
Okay.
Lewis. Evenings on me.
I'll bring
Yeah.
cigars.
All,
Yeah.
all right, fine. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I hadn't been there in a while. It's just, I guess COVID really was a big disruptor, so I've just been kind of here. The only time I really go to New Orleans is when I got to pick up orders and.
Dos Jefes
Yeah.
was rocking during COVID.
Really? Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Nobody ratted.
Hmm.
That's how tight that little group is. Man, being out there on the end of Chop near Nashville where it's real quiet, out by the docks,
Yeah.
it's a hardcore crew of cats.
Everyone
It's
knows
the
everyone.
same
Huh?
cats every day. Yeah.
No, I always loved Dos Jefes. When I was working retail in New Orleans in the early 2000s, that would be, a spot I would have to try to make out. But I wasn't making a lot of money, so I didn't go out too often. But
Right.
but I loved it. I mean, to me, that just it embodies that. And I could be wrong. You have more insight, but like the typical quirky uptown bar that's cool, that everyone knows everyone,
Richie's,
but with cigars, which is cool.
Yeah, but with cigars. Richie's a riot too, man. The guy is funny. He's ornery too,
I used to sell him cigars.
Did
so
you?
I used to work at a large convenience store wholesaler in Harahan called Imperial Trading. And at one point I oversaw the premium cigar division, and I would do like it was pretty much like I was doing everything, ordering the cigars, responsible for over $1 million of buying a year, selling to wholesale clients at a time before the anti-smoking laws were put in place, to hotels, restaurants.
Yeah.
So I would travel to all these little cool spots around the city that sold cigars. And Arnold's, they used to have a cigar bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dos Jefes was on our list, so I would go in there and
And
remember making the deliveries, talking to Richie.
Richie's a Cuban snob.
He's a what?
A Cuban snob.
Oh, yeah.
And he's worse than just your average. It's some weird Vitola he likes. I can't remember. It's a Monte number 2, but it's in some weird Vitola. I can't remember which one. And
The Monte Cristo number 2?
in some,
Yeah, that's the torpedo. When they
okay,
typically
then
in the
it's
old
not
Cuban
the number
green-
2. Then it's a Monte in some
Okay.
other. But I brought him a number 2, right? Which is like what is that smoke? If you
Well,
were to
the-
buy
well-
a single now, right?
Yeah, the prices went up.
What
I don't know
would you say?
I don't know. Let me look it up, because I know at one point when I knew more about that industry, it was like $15 or $20. But now I don't know. Let me see what the average price is, because apparently
Like
this past year,
like $75. Maybe some people would pay $150 right now.
that's crazy. Well, that was a
Think
big,
about what a Bahique is.
yeah.
What's that? $350?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I had I need to tell you a story about that. The Monte Cristo number 2 Cuban, what's MSRP now?
And that would be getting it from where?
Well, when I quote, if I'm going to quote Cuban cigar prices, you'd have to look at Spain's prices. That's very good, like MSRP.
That's
because
what I've heard.
Yeah, like in the UK, you're going to be paying a higher price because of the excise tax.
Have you heard they're better in the UK? I've heard because they have a longer relationship with Cuba that the good rollers send their shit there first.
I can't verify that. I don't know.
I'm just
but
asking
it wouldn't surprise
you.
me.
I'm asking
no,
you.
I don't know.
You're the guy in the industry.
Yeah,
I'm
but I don't know the Cuban sector.
harmonica playing consumer.
No, but I don't know the Cuban sector. So
I'm
I have one website.
Rumors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one website that lists it at $49 a cigar.
That's nice.
But that shows you how long I haven't smoked.
I think you could
Cubans. I remember when it was like a $15 to $20 pop
right
cigar.
Yeah.
But they increased. So I was talking to Steve Saka a few weeks ago, and he was telling me that in the international market, because of this huge increase in prices this past year, tripled, right? Yeah, I don't know. I forget the percentage terms, but it was very substantial.
Okay.
So as a result, end consumers in the international market, they're looking at these prices and they're seeing the prices of the non-Cubans, or what some people call New World cigars.
Right.
It's like, dude, I'd rather just buy the New World cigars because it's just, number one, consistent. I'm getting better value. I mean, so the non-Cubans are really taking more market share in the international market. But
you smoked a Byron, right? An Atabey? I mean,
yeah,
pretty close, right?
Yeah. It's very close to the Cuban profile. It's been a few years since I tried that, but
I think we're trying to remember which Byron I had. I've had it like 4 times, the same one. It's like a Venice.
And I don't know that because we don't carry them.
I got it up in Nashville. I get them up there. Like I paid $32 a smoke.
Yeah.
And was happy to pay that because the cigar was so well balanced.
Yeah.
And for a cigar that's so out of my profile of like knocking on your ass, peppery, I get bourbon notes on the last third of Tatuajes a lot of times. Strong bourbon. For a non-drinker, it's nice to taste bourbon again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get that. I get wine sometimes. I get dark espresso, coffee beans, cocoa. For me to smoke a cigar like a Byron and really enjoy it, it has to be great.
Yeah. But no, I had a story about the Cohiba Vejique. So
yes,
I don't really smoke too many Cubans. So before COVID, I made it a point to go to Spain. That's one of my favorite travel destinations, and I would smoke the Cubans while I'm over there just to see what's going on. But I just haven't been happy with the consistency. But when people ask me what my favorite cigar of all time is, it's the first batch Cohiba Vejique.
What year was that?
I forget. I think it was like mid 2000s.
That's so cool. You got to do that.
Man, I want to say 2007, but I don't really remember.
You smoked through boxes of those.
No. Because even back then,
yeah,
I think they were like 50 to 75 a stick, which back then that was like stupid,
unheard of.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Right.
But I had to try it, and it was before it got like a lot of hype, where you couldn't find them. To me, that first batch was so incredible, and those are the profiles that I personally want.
Yeah.
Which is a weird combination of like an almond paste, like marzipan, coffee, cream, some cedar, and it just hit a certain way that it's hard for me to find that kind of profile. But sadly, a subsequent batch I bought tasted nothing like it.
It happens.
And ever since then, like I just kind of like, I wrote it off. It's like, man, I'm not going to be risking that much money.
I know, right? But then maybe they got it right.
And it could have been. And so I haven't smoked it since then.
But
I don't know
maybe
how
they didn't. I mean, look,
Right.
when you look at the motivation, considering the political situation, it's hard.
And economic situation.
Right. It's hard to imagine that they care enough.
Right.
But maybe they do. What do I know?
Yeah. Well, and I don't have like insight into the Cuban industry since, again, we don't really deal with that. Looking at it from an economic standpoint, what I do know about Cuba is that the situation is bad for people. I mean, there's a reason why people will traverse the Gulf just to escape.
In rafts.
Yeah.
And
so you get paid a very low wage, whether you're a roller or some other position. So to me, there's no incentive for people to care. Not that they don't, but you just look at economics and human behavior. If there's no incentive to like do well, it's like,
You've probably heard the parable or the story about a teacher that says, okay, listen, guys, I'm gonna give you guys a test this week, and I've decided that because since some of you guys have only one parent, some of you have no parents, some of you guys have mental illness or learning deficiencies, I'm just gonna average the test. So the kids are all like, well, at first, cool, this sounds great, right? So first week goes by, and they the A+ students get Bs, and the C students get Bs, and then the D students get Cs, right? And everybody's kind of happy. Then the next week, the A students are like, this is the first time I've ever gotten a B. I'm not going to work my ass off again, all right? So they don't. So the A students are now getting Cs, right? But, a couple of months goes by, a month goes by, and everybody's failing. Because the kids they're like, I don't have to do anything, and I'm getting a C.
right, getting by.
Right. And I think you're right. I think it's human nature. Now, I'll tell you, as a musician, the first time I experienced this, I grew up in a very liberal family and went to a school with lesbian communist teachers, and I really looked at Europe as being superior to the United States, particularly what it had to do with the arts. What I was interested in, the audiences were more educated. They were better listeners, right? They weren't there to get drunk as much as to hear the music, to know the history of the music. The fact that marijuana was legalized, the fact that prostitution was legalized, that we didn't necessarily say prostitution or weed is good. What we are saying is, hey, let's look at how we can control it. Can we reduce disease? Can we reduce violence towards women? Can we reduce illegal cartels controlling the income of things? So I had this idealistic view of what Europe would be like. So as a musician, when I went over there for the first time...
When was that?
1994, 95, 96, maybe, right around there. I started going for the first time over and over again. And I remember getting there and rehearsing with the band and thinking to myself, these guys are okay, and we're going to make it through the tour. But I was told this is the best band in Holland, and the same band that had backed up all my heroes. Surprised a little bit. Now, they were good if we're in like Topeka, Kansas, but they're not quality musicians that would be professionals in this country. Okay. So I made it through the tour, right? And at the end of the tour, we're sitting there and we're smoking hash in this bar, and there's this hot chick behind the counter, and she's looking at me, and the whole band was telling me, you need to stay here. If you can sing in English, bro, you can make a living over here. And on top of that, the government's going to pay for you to play music, meaning that I'm going to get an income every month, regardless of whether I play or not. But I only have to do 4 shows a month, and I'm still going to get income just for being involved in the arts. Move here, smoke hash. That girl back there will go out with you. It's going to be great. And I started thinking, well, I'm 21 years old. I'm starting to think, why not? Why wouldn't I come over here, smoke hash, have sex with hot European women, play jazz and blues every night, and get paid for it even when I'm not playing? And then I remembered, oh, yeah, they can't play. Why? Well, there's no competition.
Well, there's no incentive.
There's
right?
no incentive.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, you got to be a badass. Whether you're in the oil industry or the musician industry, if you're in New York, you got to work. You got to pay attention to what people are doing. You got to refine. You got to get better. And those are good things. Now, when I'm 70 years old, maybe I'll go back over to Europe. Right? Yeah. But right now, I'm still a young man. I'm not yet 50. 49, right?
So what you're saying is the standards, at least in the U.S. and the musical side, are just so high because I guess there's more people competing.
I mean, look
you have to bring your A game in order to stand out or
I think
earn
so.
income.
Yeah. I mean, when we look at...
But in Europe, it's not like that.
I mean, look, you have great musicians over there. I'm not saying that's not true.
Yeah.
I'm not
Sure.
saying that's not
Right.
true. There's always the exception of the rule in everything,
Right.
whether it's in cigars or in music or whatever. But yes, I'm saying that you have to work harder here.
Yeah.
And and it's cutthroat, and it's not fair, and it's hard.
Can you give me some examples of
Cutthroat,
like
not fair.
Yeah.
Well, if you got an artist that, say their parents say, "Yeah, I believe in you, and instead of going to college, I'm going to give you $40,000 a year towards management, publicity, getting you, backing you," that artist has a better chance of succeeding than an artist equally or more talented that doesn't have that backing. Same thing if we go into a court of law in the United States. If you have a public defender, your chances of getting off are less than if you have an attorney that is a paid attorney with a pretty price on it, right? Yeah. I mean, you got a guy handling 15 caseloads, 50, 100 caseloads at a time versus a guy handling 2 and getting 40 grand, and he knows that you come from a family with money. That means that you'll recommend him. Again, same thing. It's cutthroat. This country's cutthroat. It's rough, but it's beautiful. Beautiful things come out of that.
Yeah.
I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
I don't like it all the time. I think it's rough. I think it's horrible, but I don't know any other way. Who the hell am I? I'm a harmonica player. I just like living here.
Is that being like choosing that instrument? Are there challenges to, I guess? I don't know. I'm asking because
Well, here's the good part. If the competition, the bar is set so low. I think I brought one, but I left it in the van.
Oh, no,
but the bar is set so low for the instrument that if you can play it at all, people think you're great.
So that has its advantages.
Conversely, if you want to play something that a guitar player or a piano plays, it takes a lifetime of work to get good enough to do that. So it's very easy to play because the type that I primarily play are called diatonics, and each one, like a Creole accordion or a diatonic accordion, is set in one key. So even a 3-year-old can pick it up, and if they blow in and out of it, there's not a wrong note they can hit if the band is playing in a certain key.
Okay.
However, music doesn't always stay in one key, and you need to be able to go out of that scale. In order to go out of that scale, it requires advanced embouchures and stuff, making it harder than a violin or other difficult instruments to even do that. So to achieve any level of, look, I just did an album for Disney, or I did a movie for Disney. They didn't tell me which one. They never do. Okay, you wait and you find out. I didn't know Tyler Perry's Jazzman Blues was the movie I was recording. And as a session musician, maybe you ask somebody on the break and maybe they know, but you don't go in and ask, what is this for? You're hired to do a job. You go in there, you read the music, and you do it, and you leave. And you're as quiet and as low maintenance as can be. The job is about, it's a business. It's not, has nothing to do with it's beautiful art, but it's not about that at that time, right? Okay. The composer figured that out ahead of time. Your job is to play what the composer showed you. Okay. So in an environment like that, you come in and you just do your job and you leave, right? You don't know what that's about. I forgot where I was going with that, right? Where were we on that?
I don't know.
It was something to do with...
Well, just asking about, is it challenging
to
be a harmonica musician?
So when I'm doing the thing for Disney, they don't care that my instrument has a hard time hitting certain notes or not. They just expect you to do it.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do that. And that's when it becomes, then there becomes a handful of people in the world, Louis, that can get jobs, which means that I get a lot of those kind of jobs.
Okay. Do you have an agent?
Yeah, I got all that.
Yeah.
A manager, agent, all that.
Okay. Do you have a set goal of concerts or I know, don't worry about it. Do you have a set goal of concerts a year or tours? Or...
I got a website, mooncat.org. It's got all that stuff on it.
Okay.
I play, when I was young, I played 300 shows a year. I did that for 10, 15 years all over the world, except the Far East. I've never been to China or Japan, but...
You have a desire to go there?
Absolutely. I have a desire to go everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no place I don't really want to go.
Yeah.
I want to see it all, right? You know.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What's your favorite destination so far, or thus
Here.
far? Really? You know, one. Well, we just.
I just got back from Hawaii.
That's why I'm wearing the Hawaiian shirt. Did you notice?
I didn't even notice, Brubs.
Yeah. I saw your Instagram post. You're enjoying yourself in Hawaii. Was it for business or pleasure?
We were at Big Island Jazz and Blues Festival. We were there with Donald Harrison and Steve Teray from Saturday Night Live. It was mostly jazz. Johnny Sansone's another harmonica player, accordion, guitar guy from New Orleans. He was over there. The Iguanas, the legendary Iguanas, you might know, but a bunch of people. But
Yeah.
Donald Harrison had a heart attack while we were there.
What? Oh, man.
It was
Is he
intense.
okay?
He's okay. 2 surgeries later.
Wow.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is New Orleans the reason why, like with jazz, like your pursuit of jazz, why you came down to New Orleans?
It's everything. It's the culture. It's the architecture. It's the food.
history, yeah.
It's the food.
Oh, yep. I'm a product of it.
I mean, I was living in Jackson. I moved to the South as a Yankee 30 years ago.
Okay.
In 1995, I moved to Memphis.
Okay.
And then I migrated, and I ended up in South, and I migrated to Jackson. I ended up following a band in Jackson and touring out of Jackson, just regionally, not nationally. And the first place we ever went on tour was here. And I came down here, and I heard OZ. I saw
cool.
Frenchman Street, Bourbon Street, the Jazz Museum, Tipitina's, right? And I just said, this is it.
It hooked you.
And I did, but I didn't get here until 2010 after my home in Nashville, Tennessee, was flooded. And the Cumberland River came and destroyed most of East Nashville, and my house was one of those. So I said, if I'm going to get flooded, I'll get flooded there. And we have. Yeah, we have. Yeah. But yeah, I rent now. I'm probably going to buy next year. You know, this is exciting.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You want to stay in the same neighborhood?
Man,
That's Mid-City,
my
right?
neighbor, the one I was telling you about, Aaron Washington, the cigar roller. I just can't. You know, I got a call 2 nights ago. It was 3 a.m. He said he never calls me Jason. He calls me Ricci. He doesn't even
Ricci?
say my name right for years and years and years, right? And he called me Jason. I knew something was wrong. 3 a.m. I called Jason. He goes, your back doors of your van are open. You know, why am I going to leave a neighborhood like that? You know, where my neighbor's going to, and he goes to bed at 8 o'clock. So he must have woke up, heard something, looked out the window, saw my van, came up, got out, walked outside, called me on his cell phone, was out there to greet me. I just had a shipment of cigars come in, pretty big, with, you know, some rare cigars coming in, right? And I was in Hawaii. I was expecting to get them before I left. Didn't happen. He's there for me, you know? And it's not just him. I got everybody on every side of the street knows me. I love my neighborhood. I cannot imagine leaving.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's such a New Orleans characteristic, too.
Man, I mean,
Like neighbors really know each other.
I think it. I know. I've always tried to be nice, but I didn't seem to get it reciprocated in Nashville, right? But here I did. You know.
That's when I went to New York for the first time, New York City. You know, down in New Orleans, you're just so used to like just talking to someone random, like asking a question.
Because you're from here.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Well, Metairie. I grew up in Metairie, but yeah, went to school in New Orleans. So like the notion of just the social interaction is more inclusive in New Orleans. Like you just say hi to a stranger, like ask them just something.
Yeah.
When I did that in New York City, I got like looks at like from people like, what the, get away from me.
Oh yeah. It's like there's something wrong. Yeah.
Because everyone's in like their own world.
Yeah.
Don't bother me.
Well,
like they're in their own.
even growing up in Maine, which Conan O'Brien called the deep south of the north, there's a certain level of aggression in everything, right? Like I remember going back after my father died, and my friends going like, "Hey, Jason, sorry to hear about your dad there, bud," and it almost sounded like they were trying to start a fight with me. But I grew up there, so I knew immediately.
You understand it wasn't like.
But after 20 years of not living there and going back to that environment and seeing like how impatient, how aggressive, how Now, on one hand, it is refreshing in that people are a little more upfront sometimes about things. Okay, you know, less bless your hearts, right? But on the other hand, sometimes you need a bless your heart. Sometimes you just need a thank you instead of a, you know, whatever it is, right? You know, It's a lot of overload, sensory overload in the Northeast, I think.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When I went to Italy years ago, in the late '90s.
To Italy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I talked to people and got just trying to figure out the culture, what's Italian mean, and I learned that it's kind of like in the U.S. where in the south of Italy, people are a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
It's a little poorer.
Dude, that's where my family's from. Is from Naples.
Really? Naples?
Yeah, Napoli, right? Yeah. Yeah, like Pompeii.
Have you been?
Yes.
What do you think of that? I bet you love that city, huh?
But that was my favorite. I liked that more than Rome or any of the Venice or any of the places. It was dirty. There was crime and
And that's what I
felt
tell
more
people,
relaxed.
Because I feel like if you're from New Orleans, I think New Orleanians would appreciate Naples.
What's that thing? What is it about
It's
things
like rough.
being in the South, right? Where shit just
they're chill, but you go more north, the people are colder, they're a little ruder.
It's true.
And so I was just laughing the whole time, like, man, this is just like in the U.S. It's the same in Italy.
Man, you're fantastic.
Yeah. Did you had some of the pizza when you were in Naples?
Oh my God, I didn't even know what's it called again? What's it called?
Like the brick oven? Or,
No. Yeah.
The fire.
Yeah, but it's called the margarita, right? Or
yeah.
But
Pizza
that's not,
margarita.
yeah. I didn't even know what that was until I was there.
Do you know they have pizza purity laws? Like they have these laws in order for it to be like, according to Naples, a pizza, it has to follow like certain dimensions, circumference, only X amount of ingredients.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the other day I saw king cake mix on the shelf. So now you can make your king cake during not during season. Right?
Oh,
if you
no,
know
that seems like no, that's not right.
That's a what's it called, loophole, right?
Yeah.
We got some rules like that down here, right?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Exactly.
Sort of.
I tried my hand at making king cake for the first time this past year.
No way.
I got like this clone recipe of Dong Fong's famous king cake. It came out pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it wasn't the same, but like it was pretty close.
You guys ever do cookouts here at Habana Port?
Not yet. Yeah. So we've only made a year in the new spot here in Baton Rouge.
Oh my God, it's only been a year here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before that, we were just right down the street. We'd been there for 10 years. But one of our initiatives now that we have this new space here is to have more events, do cookouts, have a lot more experiences for the consumer.
If you ever need a band, bro, we'll work a deal.
Cool.
We'll work a deal.
Yeah. Actually, we were talking to some people about like hiring bands. So we'll keep in touch.
I'll make it happen for you.
Oh, no.
We
we'll
won't go
compensate.
through the agent or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. No, so I mean, this new space just was perfect. It had everything that we wanted. Larger, standalone. Because before we were in a strip mall, so that has its pros and cons. But larger space, we can do more events. Because in the previous store, we didn't really have too many cigar tastings, just because it wasn't large enough.
The pros of the strip mall were walk-in traffic, right?
I guess there weren't any pros. I guess at the time we went in, it was pretty cheap rent. It was a good spot.
Did people look at you as a pariah because you sold tobacco?
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
I got a good story that you'll appreciate on the subject of the demonization of tobacco.
Yeah.
So I'm out in Topanga,
Where's that?
It's in like it's like in the mountains of LA.
Okay.
And so, but it's really you go through all these beaches. I forget the name of the beaches, not Venice, but you come up from Venice and you go, I think, north, right?
Okay.
Anyway, you're in the mountains. And I'm up there and I'm playing this blues festival with Lurie Bell, this Chicago blues artist, right? Everywhere, Louis, is weed, nonstop. I mean, you can't walk anywhere without weed smoke all over you. Okay. Now, I don't have a problem with this. Even being sober, I don't. But I know some sober people do, right? But that's not the point I'm trying to make. So after the festival, and I was like one of the headliners, right? So you'd think I'd have a little special treatment. No. So after the festival, I had a J21 with 4 years of age on it, right? That I'd been saving for the right day. And I walk, 75 yards away from the festival down a gravel road to where the van is parked. I sit on the bumper of the van, cut the cigar, light it. Within seconds,
a 20-year-old kid is on me, and he's furious. I mean, he's not just telling me that I can't smoke. He's furious, right?
Whoa.
And there is no smoking in the entire city of Topanga. Well, everywhere around me is weed smoke.
Right.
So where are the studies on the secondhand smoke damage of weed smoke right now, right? But it's just trendy right now. Weed is a medicine that can cure everything, which it's not. And first of all, right, and we're beginning to find that out, right? We've tried treating addiction with weed. You have these treatment centers now that are giving weed to recovering heroin and crack addicts and meth addicts. It's not working out, right? The success rates are plummeting, okay? And for mental illness, right? We've tried treating bipolar and depression and all this stuff with different strains with mixed results, right? So that's not even the point. The point is supposed to be secondhand smoke is carcinogenic, right? Mm-hmm. Where are the studies that prove that a tobacco smoke, which I would venture a bet that there is, well, first of all, there's no pesticides at all in this, right? Hence our tobacco beetle problem. Hence me worrying in Ida about increasing temperatures and humidity. I was worried that I might have an outbreak of beetles, right? Or whatever, right? I don't know how frequently this happens. It's not happened to me yet. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen it?
Well, I don't know like what the typical operation does in terms of growing with pesticides and all that. I know that there are some operations that use this, like Placencia has this one line. It was called the Organica, and the whole thing was it was an organic cigar. So the pesticide they use, I guess, I don't know if it's specific for them, but I know of some operations that will basically create this. It's almost like a tobacco tea. So they steep tobacco leaves in water, and they get like the juices or whatever from the tobacco, and then they spray that solution on a lot of tobacco.
Yeah.
And that acts as like a natural pesticide.
Well, Hawaiian tobacco is used as a natural pesticide. I found out.
What?
Because somebody said, hey, while you're down there, why don't you have a Hawaiian cigar? And I thought.
Did you have some?
No, I just Googled it. I said,
yeah.
I've never heard of a Hawaiian cigar. I looked it up, and first thing that came up was Hawaiian tobacco is not normally smoked. It's used as an organic pesticide.
Well, there was a brand. This is like probably 12 years ago. We actually tried to reach out to a company that did have a Hawaiian brand, a Hawaiian cigar brand, but they never got back to us. Let me look that up. I want to say it was Kauai Cigar Company. Yeah, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. Kauai Cigar Company. Locally owned maker of premium hand rolled cigars.
You tried one, huh? And then
no, I never have. I tried to reach out to the company years ago because we wanted to carry them.
Yeah.
You know, because we're into boutique cigars too. I mean, we carry a lot of the standards, but I'm always like searching for unique.
I mean,
brands.
I just had a once over of this place. What don't you carry?
Well, I mean,
let's start there.
Well, no, not every like. There's no retailer that can pretty much carry everything. I guess they could, but
I mean,
but we try to carry. The
Byrons aren't here.
Correct.
Atabay is not here.
Yeah, we've talked about it though. I love that cigar. So I mean, it's a possibility, and we're always willing. From our operation standpoint, we're willing to try certain cigars. We always get new companies trying to gain shelf space here, but we have certain parameters.
Who do you like right now? Like underground? Who's coming up?
Tobacco?
Who's the next Pete Johnson?
Man, I kind of don't want to tell because then like more people will get more focus on. I'll tell them. I don't care.
Like me,
I know, but I'll be like you and reveal.
All right.
So I probably would have to attribute the reason to Warp Cigars. They released a blend, made the Chinchal brand, made by Tabacalera La Isla. So this is a relatively new cigar factory by industry standards. They're really small. The owner is Hostos Fernandez, and man, he's making some good stuff. So we actually hooked up with him because he is what we call a contract manufacturer. So he doesn't actually have his own brands. Mm-hmm. He's just an operation that will make cigars for other companies like Warped, other shops. And so we actually hooked up with him last year and have started selling our own branded cigars.
When's this podcast going to be on the air?
Probably 7 weeks, 8 weeks from now.
Cool.
Yeah, because you're our sixth guest.
Man,
but we haven't even
I'm honored to be here with you. Yeah, it's been so much fun. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm really digging it. Awesome. And hey, what do you think of this?
I love it.
Hey,
it's awesome. I've had it. You and I have had to relight it because we're talking so much. But
I'm going to say
awesome.
this. I will say that I am surprised at how well balanced this is for a Kahuna.
And we just got it. Like, so
right.
Really
It's off
hasn't
the
even
truck.
been,
Right off the truck. Yeah.
No time to like settle down. So that's pretty impressive.
You know, I think that I think a lot of I've come under fire from my Tatuaje brothers lately because I've been saying that I think that the Karloffs are aging out.
So that can happen.
That's
Steve
what I'm
Saka.
saying.
I'm not saying I don't know with Karloffs specifically, but we had Steve Saka visit our shop like in the first or second year. He started Dunbarton. He came to our old store and
did.
did.
So funny.
Oh, he's funny.
Oh my God, what a regular cat too. I'm a big,
but he's a nerd too. Like when it comes to cigars.
I've watched him. I've zoomed with him before because Lee Mack, who I'm a huge fan of, the cigar reviewer. Have you seen Lee Mack?
No.
Lee Mack 912. He's a YouTube cigar reviewer, black dude from Delaware.
Okay.
Hilarious, beautiful, wonderful, life-changing. But he's like your black uncle, Mr. Rogers, cigar smoker.
Cool.
All kinds of problems with YouTube, right? Because of the cigar thing.
He's getting some grief with that?
Oh, man, they demonetized him.
I know.
He's not even selling the stuff.
Wow.
But meanwhile, I can go on YouTube, and if I want to, Louis, I can find out how to smoke crack properly. But yet I can't watch a guy review cigars and talk about life.
So that's always been a point we've had to fight against. Like big tech in this country, they don't like cigars. They don't like tobacco.
No.
So, I mean, we were on Twitter back in 2010 and the Facebook started back then. And I've always wanted to pay these companies just to advertise, get sponsored posts.
I
and
always find
and
the
it always
TAA
gets,
stuff.
it gets rejected,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So we've always had to fight against that. And it's just a shame because, to your point, like they'll allow other, like what I would deem as more like worse items, you know, or hobbies.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to, pick on the cigar people? Like,
And
this is an adult.
without even researching the science of the health effects or.
Yeah.
No, okay, but
And
anyway, back
look,
to Saka though. I
yeah.
I
So
totally
he,
just
that's cool.
derailed you there. Yeah.
So we had him in the store. He was driving through and he did like a meet and greet.
Driving through here?
Mm-hmm.
And came and sat right here and did this?
Not in this location, our old location, but
man,
he was just like an academic.
When was
about cigars and the industry. It was real. I mean, we learned a lot from him, but I forgot where I was going with this.
The guests that you've had on the show, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we want to reach out to cigar industry people. But I felt there was another point I was trying to make, but it's all good. That's what happens in good conversation. Just going tangents all over. But no, before we do our last segment, I did want to ask this notion about musicians in New Orleans that try to and I don't know what your goals are in the music world.
Yeah.
But like who try to take it to like the next level, I guess, of awareness and in your career. I've always heard like a lot of musicians in New Orleans that stay, it's hard for them to like kind of break through until they leave. So I think of like Louis Armstrong.
It's been the opposite for me.
Okay.
I mean, I've spent my entire career moving to different locations, primarily for looking for a central location from which I could branch out. The reason I lived in Nashville was that 90% of the United States population lives within 500 miles of Nashville.
Oh, so it was a strategic.
This is why all the trucking companies, the printing companies.
Yeah.
This is why they're all there. You have all the highways, 65, 40, all linked there. So as a musician who travels for a living, if I want to get my name out, I need to play every city that I possibly can.
Yeah.
It is still, look, there's this whole who you know thing, right place, right time, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that's not true, okay? But it's more true for pop and stuff. And I'm a jazz and blues musician, which basically means I'm not any different than a drywaller, right? I have a job. I do it well. I'm known for doing it well. I have a group of people that I've worked with my entire life that are mom and pop club owners, okay, that have risked their lives and their careers and everything else on having a dream for a venue. And I go in there. I've had relationships with these people that took chances on me, hiring me when I was 20 years old, 21 years old. I'm 50 now, right? For $250, right? And you sleep on the pool table tonight, guys, right? And get out of here in the morning, lock up. You know, if you guys do well, come back next time, right? These people I've had relationships for 20, 30 years, right? So it's like a regular gig. So I've succeeded nationally to the point where, like I said, I played with Johnny Winter. I was on Johnny Winter's Grammy Award-winning record, the last one that he made before he passed away. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, numerous other recordings, up almost every year for the Blues Music Awards for Harmonica Player of the Year. I've won it 3 times, right? Wow. You know, I'm not saying this to brag. What I'm telling you is that my hard work has achieved results. And there were many, many years of poverty and obscurity, Luis, okay, that preceded this, okay, before the payoff started to happen. However, here's the funny thing. In New Orleans, nothing. They don't care about any of that. What have you done in the city? When was your last Offbeat Award? Did you look, when I started playing with Joe Crown and then started playing with Walter Wolfman Washington and started playing Jazz Fest and Tipitinas, now I'm somebody in New Orleans. All right. But they didn't care about a Grammy Award-winning record with Johnny Winter. They didn't care about the Blues Music Award. They don't care that to this day still, I have a 2-week tour coming up next week. I'm leaving. I'm going to play New York, Connecticut, Maine. I'm going to see Mo in New York, right? And I'll combine my music with cigar tourism, right? I'm going to try to get to Harry's in Philly, right? I see my buddy that gave me my first Pepine 601. I'll go see Mike at Allegheny Smokes, right? From back 2006 when I, first got into this. And, they don't care that I'm playing all over the country. I can't play in New Orleans under my own name. I can play with Joe Crown, or I could play with Walter before he passed away. I can sub for Chawa. I can do occasional gigs at the Maple Leaf under my own name, but I'm nobody in New Orleans. I'm a good sideman is what I am. So it's funny. So for people that are big deals in New Orleans, yes, it's hard for them to branch out to the rest of the United States. But who can blame them? They're accepted in this microcosm of this beautiful, wonderful city that, frankly, what did Tennessee Williams say? America has 3 cities, right? New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans. Everywhere else is Cleveland. Yeah, I love Who cares? Yeah. If you're big, I'd rather, you asked of goals of mine. Well, I don't really have any goals in my career yet. I'm 50 years old. I've done a lot. I'm satisfied with what I've done. I spent a lot of time ignoring family, ignoring my health, chasing brass rings, trying to be famous, money, property, and prestige. I spent all of my 20s and 30s ambitious. I owned a house in Nashville, like I said. I was trying to put as much money away. I had a couple of cars, I was miserable. Well, what do I want now? I want to be a good husband to my wife. I want to be the best brother I can be, which is challenging right now. My brother got a piece of property we're fighting over, I want to be a good son. I want to be a good friend. I want to be kind when it's hard to be kind. Those are my goals. These are the things that cigars make me realize, right? Of course, you got to make money to afford them, right? Yeah. But that's still... But, my goals, if I had a goal musically, it would be more to become part of the city of New Orleans. I don't care about the rest of the world anymore. This is home, right? And Habana Port in Baton Rouge is now a new extension of that, this relationship that we've built. My life today is about relationships. It's not about business. And I honestly think on a spiritual level, everything works itself out after it truly becomes that. If I find myself, and I'm human, jealous of another's achievement, I deserve that, or how come they got that, and how come I don't? How come I'm still in the Ford Econoline and this band's in the bus, right? Then I get the bus. How come they got 2 tour buses and I'm only got 1, right?
You'll never satisfy,
Exactly. Right, and
when your pursuit is that material,
I'm working really hard, and it starts in the morning. And Lee Mack, the cigar reviewer, says when you wake up in the morning, He says, this is what Lee Mack, the cigar reviewer, you got to check him out, right?
Yeah.
He's got his own cigars.
Seen
Anyway,
the two parts,
back to
yeah.
Lee Mack. So he ends every video. He says, when you wake up in the morning, you got to tell yourself that today is going to be another great day. And then he says, why? Because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. So when you wake up in the morning, you might as well tell it something good, right? That's what Lee Mack says. Every morning I wake up, and before my feet hit the floor, I say, today is going to be another great day. Been doing that for 4 years. My life is drastically improved, right? Now, I follow that up with a bunch of other stuff, with some prayer, some meditation, some other stuff, right? I have a better day as a result of that. But that's what I'm chasing, is that perspective, that positive perspective, not money or achievements or whatever. But yeah, sure, I want to get boxes of news of the man. I need to get a box of these, right? These,
Yeah, they're good.
they need to sit for a while, but these are incredible, right?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Me too. Me too.
So on that, we're gonna kind of wrap it up. So we got this segment, the final segment that we're calling the final puff. So it's kind of a rapid fire question. Don't no pressure.
Rapid fire. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Number one.
Yeah.
Tabasco or Crystal?
Tabasco. Love that vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Especially on eggs.
Ooh,
On eggs, Tabasco
yeah.
there's no substitute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fried chicken, you could maybe get away with Crystal. All right, keep going.
Number two, favorite travel destination?
Oh, besides here?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's supposed to be rapid fire.
No, it's okay. No
Sorry.
pressure.
Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Number three, the ideal person you would want to smoke a cigar with,
Oh,
dead or alive.
God, my father. I would love to sit with my dad again. Lost him in 2001,
Was he a cigar smoker?
Nah, but he would.
Yeah.
He smoked everything else.
Yeah. Well, with that, my friend, thanks for coming by.
Man, Louis.
We'll see you again.
God bless you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
Thanks
me.
again.
Yeah.
Love your perspective.
Love your family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Until
All
the next
right.
cigar.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and entertaining. If you enjoyed this episode and want to discover more episodes, check us out at thelifepuro.com or any other major streaming platform. If you're interested about the cigars we smoked, you can visit us at shop.habanaport.com. Until the next cigar, thank you.